Welcome back, sparklers, to another intriguing episode of Ignite Your Spark. At least I know it will be. Today it is the equinox that when we're recording at the fall equinox, and I am blessed to have as my guest today Elen Sentier, and she is coming to us from the Welsh Marches in the UK. And let me tell you a little bit about this fascinating woman. She is a best-selling author of British native shamanism. I love how she describes herself as a psychotherapist, a witch, and a wilder. Okay, don't know what a wilder is, but we're going to learn all about it. She also describes herself as a quirky wilderness woman, deeply connected with nature. Well, we know that I love quirky, so that's good. And she comes from a long family lineage of cunning folk. Hello, that's so cool. It's something you read about in books, and was brought up as and I can't pronounce it, a spirit keeper in the old magical traditions of Britain. Let's get into this because I am fascinated. Welcome, Ellen, and thank you for bringing your spirit to ignite your spark.
Thank you very much, Kim. It's very good to be here. And I love talking across the pond with people. I've got several friends in America, so let's be international and like ignite the world.
I do have listeners all over the world. I have been fortunate to interview people. I interviewed a woman in South Africa in the very
Oh,
beginning of my podcast. It's so fun for me to connect across the pond as well.
I
Before we
quite agree.
dive in, yes, before we dive into you, well, this is about you. I want to ask you, how do you ignite your spark?
Oh, big question, Kim. Okay, how do I ignite my spark? Um, Really through nature. I live in the middle of nature. I don't live in a town. I live up a muddy farm track in an old rambling farmhouse in the middle of the Shropshire Hills. So it's nowhere near, I mean, we don't hear traffic.
Yeah.
And we do hear all the birds, and we get lots of wildlife around us. And I just go out in the morning without any shoes on, without any socks on, and just feel the earth. And it's that is magic for me. And I love it and I smell it. And we're in autumn, like you said, we're just starting autumn. And there's, I don't know whether you have it, so long since I've been in America, I can't remember. But do you have this smell? I mean,
Mm,
here, yeah, there's this smell, and you go out and you go, oh, yes, the seasons have changed. It's
yeah.
autumn. Yeah.
Yes, we do, except I live in Northern California where
Whoa, okay.
but I know exactly what you're speaking of because I did live in the Northeast. I lived in the cold weather when I was in college and grad school, and then lived in Manhattan, where you don't get that same smell because you're in the city. But I do remember the grass, and there's a different smell in autumn and spring and summer.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
do know, and we do get it a little bit here. I do understand, and I love that you connect with nature in that way, and that doesn't surprise me that that's how you ignite your spark. Being a shaman, a shaman. All right, okay. So that's a beautiful answer to how you ignite your spark, and I think that's how you ignite sparks is by helping people connect to nature. Would be my
Absolutely.
guess. Would be
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Tell our listeners, I don't even know where to start with the witch or the shamanism, but okay, let's talk about how you were brought up as and pronounce that Welsh word for me,
Awenith. Awenith.
a Wyneth. And that's a
Got it.
spirit people. Tell me a little bit about that. How
Oh,
do you mean you
well,
were brought up that way?
well, my parents had been brought up that way. Their parents, their parents, their parents, their parents. We actually do have an ancient tradition in Britain, as they do in lots of places in Europe as well. But because we've been a bit persecuted for 2,000 years now, we keep our heads down. So I don't look weird,
No,
particularly. I do a bit with
no.
my headphones on, but you know. Um, so we don't look strange, but we work different ways. I mean, for goodness sake, I talk to my cat, I talk to the garden, I talk to the trees, I even talk to my car. Um, because all of these things, they're animated in the proper sense of the word, meaning they've got spirit. They're part of Earth. I mean, the metal that your car's made of is made of earth bones, earth rocks that have been melted down. Um, the upholstery, again, even if it's made of plastic, that's made of oil, which is old trees, for instance,
Mm,
that the earth
yeah.
has gone. So everything that we have, this is all plastic stuff, and it's all made of pieces of earth.
And
And that's what our old ways say.
okay, I love that. I think that's becoming, instead of being persecuted, as I understand, but I do believe this is becoming more into the mainstream. People are
Yes, it is.
understanding that everything is made of energy. Our chair is made of energy. We are energy. Our water has energy. So obviously, yes, what you and your heritage and your family have known for, thousands of years is now finally very slowly entering into the mainstream.
I
But I
agree.
don't think many of us talk to our chairs or our cars. I know I talk to my plants. I do talk to my plants, of course. And the benefits of this are vast. Tell us what the benefits of communicating with everything is.
Well, we live, and we have done for 150 years, a very throwaway society.
Mm,
You know, this pen's gone, throw it.
right.
This pen is made of bits of earth. So I respect it. I may still throw it away, preferably into a recycling place, but I respect it. And because something is old and tatty, my chair is, for instance, I don't disrespect it. We respect everything.
Mm,
And that makes such a difference, because if you respect everything, then you don't do things that hurt it. And you will think about, even like, I'm not going to take a plastic shopping bag, I'm going to take, a reusable Hessian one. And it's a tiny little thing, but it means I'm not burdening the earth with anything.
mm. That is so lovely. I I really appreciate that. And again, I believe that is coming more into the forefront of our minds. Certainly. Certainly. It makes me think when you were saying, you know, you and I are on the other side of a certain age, and we want to still be respected. We still have life
Yes.
to give. And, by disrespecting an item, a pen, or a plant, we try to regrow our orchids, doesn't always work. I mean, we don't want to be thrown away. We don't want to be thrown under the bus at a certain
No.
age. We want to be respected. So all of the world, human or not, needs to be respected. And I think that's a beautiful way of living.
I love that you say that, Kim. That's really good. And you've actually hit on something which, this year has started. I'm starting a project, because everywhere, well, not everywhere around the world, but in a lot of westernized countries, when you get old, you're supposed to, have facelifts and various plastic surgery and use weird creams so that you look 25 again. For goodness sake, you're not 25. Wish I was, but, well, I wish I had the body. I don't want the mind. Um, it's wasted on the young. If I was 25 now, and you, what would you do, Kim?
No, 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 no. I have the body still. I mean, I get that, but I have the wrinkles to prove that I am the age and the wisdom. And I wouldn't really want to be 25. There are certain things I would like to be able to do with my body that I could
Yes.
at 25. And the experiences, sure, as they say, wisdom is wasted. Youth is wasted on the young, right? We need
Well,
that now.
it's, yeah. But in the old ways, and I mean, you have this all over the world amongst, what do you call it, ancient peoples, old tribes, old peoples, in that way. They respect the old.
Hmm.
And when I was growing up, which was a long time ago, um, the old people in the village, if mum didn't want you for a while, oh, go and talk to granny. Come on, granny, granny's having the kids this afternoon. And you learned, and it wasn't your granny, she was, Granny Smith or whatever up the road. You learned with them and you learned differently. And knew that they knew things that even mum didn't know.
Right.
And they spoke to you in a different way. So you sort of learned this arc of how people live. Now, I mean, oh goodness, we're going to see Grandad for Christmas. We haven't seen Grandad since last Christmas.
Right.
I mean, how sad is that?
So sad. So
Isn't
sad.
it?
Yeah,
Isn't
it
it?
is.
And so, anyway, a colleague of mine who also works in this sort of stuff, and I said, in the old witchy ways, in Europe anyway, and I think in America, the old wise woman is also called the crone.
The crone. The word has been coming to me ever since we started this. Yes.
Oh, how lovely.
I've been told that I'm a crone now. I'm like, okay.
I feel that too. I feel you probably are. I know I am.
Oh yeah.
And we used to have celebrations when you became a crone. And we used to respect, and the grannies used to get together and all this sort of thing. Why don't we do that now? So my friend and I are sort of like starting, it's going to start next year. It's going to start with like a weekend retreat, a long weekend retreat of women who want to know about cronehood. And you don't have to be old to do it.
Mm. Start young so that you can embrace your crone
And
earlier.
absolutely, well, preferably, yes. But yeah, so that you know that it's not the end of the world. When
Yeah.
you reach the menopause, it's not the end of the world. It may be a
Right.
bit damned uncomfortable. For some it is, some it isn't. But you come out the other side and you're a wonderful new person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, you are speaking my language. I feel like you are never too old. I started this
Oh,
podcast, when I was a certain age. And I know I'm fine. I'm 65, but I have a birthday next week, so then I'll be increasing that number. But I just feel like it's all a matter of mindset. And
yes.
you know how society has put it upon us that if you're old, you're put out to pasture. Oh,
Yeah.
you can't get a job. You can't do that. You're over 60. No way. Don't even think about it. And I do know that there are those of us still creating and recreating ourselves, but there are many who are deemed
Yeah.
unworthy and sent out to pasture in people's minds. And Ellen, I love that you are helping others embrace their cronehood because you are reinventing yourself. Look at you. You are creating something new at
Indeed.
whatever age you are. And I'm constantly creating and recreating. And I think that's wonderful. Is that what you are doing now in service? What is it that you actually do on a,
It's one
daily
of the
basis?
things. It's
Yeah,
one of the things that I do.
love that.
It's my service. It changed. We moved into Shropshire from just down the road in Herefordshire about 3 years ago, and the move was also like a move in what I do in my business and how I help people and in my service. And I knew this, and I thought, well, I'm not sure how this is going. So the transition's been quite slow and gentle over the 3 years, but this last year, 22, has been like, now you've got to do it. And so I used to teach the old ways, and I still do, and do coaching, which I still do. But I've spread it now, not just to people who have some kind of spiritual inkling, but I'm trying and starting to put it out to particularly business women.
Hmm.
Women are not empowered. There is still all the glass ceiling rubbish. There is this feeling. I mean, even you were just talking about these women who are put out to pasture. and they accept it.
Right.
And you don't have to.
No.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm going to start a new business now. And they do it, but we need to, I feel we need, as women, to come together, and we need to speak with each other, and we need to support each other as much as we can, anywhere in the world, which is why I really approve of all this LinkedIn stuff and the Zoom stuff and that, because we can actually talk to each other.
Right.
And so I coach women. And again, there's another new project, which is very recent. In shamanism, there's a thing called soul retrieval, which I expect you know of.
Right.
Well, there's all sorts of ways of doing it, and it doesn't have to be quite as weird as it is to some people.
Yeah, tell us
Um,
about it because I have not interviewed a true shaman. I've interviewed people, shaman adjacent, or they've studied it. But tell us as much as you want about that because I think that was is really interesting. Like, what is a shaman? How do you become a shaman? What is soul retrieval? I've heard about it. So yeah,
well,
tell us as much
a
as you want.
shaman, I use the word shaman because it's very well known in the world.
Right.
It's from the Tungus people in Russia, in Asia. And it means one who knows.
Mm.
And our own name, our own old Welsh British name, Awenith,
Awareness.
means spirit keeper, but it also means one who knows.
Mm.
And okay, people say, well, what's knowing? Is it knowledge? And you sort of go, no. Okay, little story. So, Kim, I wouldn't do this to you, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. If I threw a bucket of cold water over you, precisely, you
Yeah.
would know you were wet.
Yes.
You would not need to read a book. You would not need a weekend workshop. You would not need evening classes or a course. You would know you were wet. And you might not be able to articulate a lot about it, except possibly with expletives. And, and you, Desi would be quite cross with me.
Yes.
And so you know that wetness. And then somebody says, well, what's wetness? And you say, well, it was like when she threw water over me. But you can't explain it like a mathematical equation or a scientific proposition or, grammar in English or something like that. And it's that knowing. And we all have it. And it comes through our guts, our instincts. And that's sort of like upwards, from your guts.
Right.
And it also comes inwards from whatever you like to call it, the universe, through
Right.
your intuition.
Yep. Yeah.
And in the modern world, everybody thinks thinking is the thing. We've got to think. How many times do you hear people say, I think I feel?
Hmm.
Well, which? Are you thinking or feeling?
Yeah.
But we don't realize that we're saying that.
Right.
If you say I feel something, people go, oh, well, that's a bit wafty, isn't it? What do you really think? And if you sort of say, well, my instincts say, oh, so for goodness sake, what do you think this is? Sort of animal rubbish? And if they say it's intuition, it's, oh, for goodness sake, what are you off with the fairies?
Yeah.
So only thinking counts for so many people. So we've been given these. I mean, one of my favourite psychotherapists, Carl Jung, calls it the four functions, and he calls it the instincts, the feelings, the thinking, and the intuition. So we've got these lovely four tools that we've been gifted by nature. And which one do when we only use one of them, we throw the
Right.
other three away. So my coaching teaches you to use all of those.
And you are trained as a psychotherapist as well.
I am.
So you use all of the parts. I mean, you are one of those unique people. I have to keep looking down at my awareness. Awareness. I love it. I love it. that
That's all right.
you are using your gifts from nature, as it were, and the mind, the things you have studied. So that makes perfect sense. So what do you call yourself as a coach? You call yourself just a coach? I mean, it's kind of a different kind of
No,
thing.
um, it's a bit of an odd name. I call it three-dimensional wild coaching.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I love the wild term that you use in a lot of your, you know, descriptions.
Well, yeah, it's something that again it doesn't get good kudos and good credibility, but we are wild at heart. I mean, you get a bunch of people and they're out on their own and they can have fun and they do crazy things.
Yeah.
And it's lovely and they thoroughly enjoy themselves and they feel so good. And then they come back in and they've got their office suit on and they're sitting nicely to attention and you think, oh, you poor soul. Because the way we do business, the way we run our economies, the way we work in every way, the way we live our lives, the way we have our kids, if we work with that wild bit, that spontaneous bit, that bit that goes, woo, what was that? Then we're open to so much more. And when we get a problem, we don't try and fix it in the old ways. That's an Einstein quote. My husband is an ex-particle physicist, so I've had that with the cornflakes for nearly 50 years now. Fortunately, he can talk it in the cat sat on the mat language, because then I don't have to do the equations or anything like that, which is good.
Yes.
But he got me into Einstein very early, and he's a gorgeous man. I mean, he's got to be a gorgeous man. He liked cats. He had a cat, and he used to talk to his cat. So he's okay. He's a good guy. And he says, I can't do the quote properly, we can't fix the problems that we created with the think. Right, we can't fix our current problems with the same thinking we used to create it.
Right.
We've got to get out of the box.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm trying to do. This is the spark I try to ignite in anybody. And I don't only work with women, but I find that at the moment women are the people who are coming to me. So great, fine, that's what we do it. Maybe we're better at multitasking and all that kind of thing so we can cope with the new.
Well, I also feel that and this is a vast generalization as well, is we as women tend to be a little more open to alternative ways of thinking and being and doing. And that's just the way either we've been raised, it's in our DNA that men are, for the most part, more, not more serious, but I think and everybody knows what I'm talking about, that
Yeah.
we women as the nurturers tend to be more open and receptive. Now, some of my friends think I'm wackadoodle, I know that, but that's okay.
That sounds great to me.
Yeah. Okay. So you work with women, and because I did want to kind of get what you did. I looked at one of your books though on shamanism, not on shamanism, but I was just sort of interested in and how you are so deeply connected and know so much about nature and the past. It's very interesting, but I knew that there was more that I wanted to find out about you and your shamanism and your wild work,
Yeah.
unleashing our wild selves, I guess.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you, so you said that term, soul retrieval, and that's kind of sticking with me. Why, how, what?
Right. When we get deeply into something, and I mean, you run your own business, I do, probably lots of our listeners do, and you have to get it going, you have to keep it going, you have to worry about ordinary things, even sort of the ordinary utilities and financing and all that kind of thing. You've got to keep it together. You've got to keep food coming into your mouth or it won't happen.
Right.
So you can get so on that treadmill. It's like that hamster that they have on your laptop now. So on that treadmill that the wild part of you, that part of your spirit, your soul, whatever, it gets shoved in a cupboard. And whether you've read Harry Potter or seen the films, but at the beginning of the
Of
whole
course.
story, poor
Yes.
Harry is stuffed in a cupboard under the stairs.
Right.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And
yeah.
that's what we do with these bits of ourselves that we
Mm,
can't actually cope with right now because there's too much on the hamster wheel. But without them, we're sort of only like three quarters of a person.
yeah.
And we need to get those back. And there are lovely ways from our old ways here in Britain and Europe that are not frightening to ordinary people who have nothing. You know, they've got no experience of this. And I know them, and I help the women who come to me to go through that. It's sort of journeying experience, but then Jung did that. He calls it active imagination, but it is like a led journey. So I can help you drift into a comfortable space, and we then go on a journey which you are actually leading, but I'm prompting you to say, where are we now? What's happening here? What's that tree doing? Who's behind it? And you go on this journey like being in a film
Hmm.
for many people inside. And the bits that got squashed and hidden, they come out and you refine them in your own mind. And I help you make friends with them again. And you then
It's
bring
sorry.
back.
Okay. It sounds a little bit like hypnotherapy almost.
Um, it is a bit, but you are not hypnotized. I have no control over you in any way, which a hypnotist can have. Um, I am just leading you and sort of helping you. Where would you like to be? What's your favourite place? Tell me about it. Describe it. And so you tell me about this tree that you sit under in your garden or something like that. And so I help you to be where you really want to be, but I'm not telling you where you are at all.
Right.
It's
Right.
all client led. And another way I do it sometimes is using tarot cards, but I use lovely picturey ones. I've got two or three packs that have got beautiful pictures on them. And I don't do it like an ordinary tarot thing. It's like, have a look through this pack. Um, what cards stand out for you? Just take three that really stand out for you. And then, what's that one meaning to you? And every darn time, whatever it is that is repressed in the person, stuffed and under, under the in the cupboard with Harry, um, comes forward, and oh, that reminds me of so and so. Oh, I
Mm.
remember that. And sometimes it's all tears and that as well, or sometimes it's laughter. And well, okay, so that was like that. So what is this card about then? Is it related? And very often they are, although the person wasn't thinking of that when they became it. And we just walk through using pictures that remind them and take them forward.
Mm.
And for me, it's just so beautiful to watch. I mean, I'm slightly tearing up now,
Yeah.
remembering people, because you watch this person and this whole glorious, gorgeous new person who wasn't there when they came into the studio with you. They're there, and they come out, and
And
it
that's
is
what,
bliss.
and what is the end result that people can expect to, get or feel after they do this with you? And is it just something that is a one-time process, or is this many times?
It can be either. Um, some people want to do it again. Some people need to do it again. It will always come to a conclusion at the end of one session, and you will have enough of an answer to take you forward with the
Mm.
problem that you came in with the part that was stuffed. And you will also feel more ignited. I've got to use your word.
Okay.
You 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 are lit up inside because you know when things get too much for you and it's all right in your face
Yeah.
and it all moves away
Mm.
and you get perspective. And I always take them through afterwards. So I mean, it doesn't just finish with, oh well, that was the end of the journey. Goodbye. It's another half an hour where we talk through what actually happened, and they can make notes and whatever they want to do as well. And they've got something that, oh, yeah, I feel I can, you come in like this. It's,
Hmm.
no good for your video people. You come in all sort of slumped and
Slumped over.
hunched,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and your shoulders are dragging and your chin's down. And then at the end of it, they really do. They're sitting up and their eyes are open, wide open, and they're looking and they're alive. They are
Mm.
lit.
Yeah. But does it make enough of a difference? Because you know how you can do something once and you feel great coming out and you're ready to take on the world. And then, as you said, reality of the world, the finances, the this, the that, start hunching you over again. Is this something that will enable you to draw forth and
Yes,
remember? Yeah,
yes,
you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if I'm
yeah.
describing it
There are all
properly,
sorts
but
of ways. People take away quite often physical things. I mean, if we've done the tarot card thing, then I get them to photograph the journey as it goes along, if necessary, on their cameras, on their phone.
uh-huh.
And they've got the picture, they've got the grouping. They've made friends with, I mean, say one of the cards was a fox. And this fox really helped them and led them through some places and frightened off something that was worrying them. And so take Fox home with you. When you feel bad, and you've got your picture on your phone, that's Fox. Now you can print that off. When something feels a bit bad, go and just sit and look at Fox. And it works. It
Mm.
sounds really simple and quite impossible, and it works. Or sometimes we play it with objects like stones and tree bits. And so they will take a particular stone home. And if it feels bad, I can hold that stone.
Got it. Right.
And I
It's
pull
like,
back.
okay, so it's a remembering, it's a memory. It's like an anchor as they use
Yes,
it in NLP. It's an anchor, and I
yes,
know that works. It's as simple as conjuring up an image,
yes,
and I do this when I'm feeling a little less than too, of something that brought you great joy or a time in your
yes.
life where you experienced unparalleled joy. If you just remember that, it's enough sometimes to raise your vibration. And this
It
sounds
is.
very much like what it is bringing you back to the journey that you have led them on. And is this assisting them in becoming fully conscious? Is that what
Yes,
your
it
goal
does.
is? Yeah.
It does. I'm going to add in some magic
Oh, I love
because
magic. It was my word of the year. It's my word of the year this year,
there you are then, you
2022.
see. Magic.
Magic.
I think it is inside for a lot of people. But
Yeah.
we mentioned Fox just now, and you
Yeah.
met Fox in your journey and you through a tarot card perhaps or something. Before you go, I will have got you to feel that you can feel the spirit of Fox next to you, and everybody can, and everybody who comes does. So when you're feeling down, Fox, help, and you will feel him or her.
Yeah.
And so not only have you got an old memory, you've got a new friend.
I love it.
And your new friend, and it sounds totally off the wall, your new friend will help you. And when you're doing the soul retrieval, of course, your new friend is the part of yourself that you stuffed in the cupboard. And so you go, oh, I'm sorry, did I put you in the cupboard again? Come out, help me.
I really, really am resonating with this because that fox, and I have that visual because I'm a very visual person in my mind of that fox. I have that fox equating it or whatever it is, fox, butterfly, hummingbird. to the spark, because we
Yes.
sometimes put that spark
Yes.
in the cupboard, or it gets
Yes.
put there unknowingly. So
Yes.
all we have to do is bring it out and access it. And I'm finding that with more and more people that I'm speaking with, it that I've had the honor of interviewing, that igniting your spark means something different to everybody, and it can come out in a variety of ways, through a fox, through a talisman, through a rock, a crystal, a geode, through
Yeah.
anything. You can hold this and ignite your spark. You just have to want to. You have to be willing, and you have to want to take this journey to retrieve your soul or your spark.
Yes. You do. Absolutely, Kim. And
Yeah,
if somebody doesn't want to do it, no good. I mean, there's another old saying, you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink.
right. No, hey, I am so in love with you, Ellen. I just can't. I mean, I'm just like, I want to come over there and have tea, have a spot of tea and a biscuit. I just want to pop over right now and do that.
Well, I'm going to reverse that on you because I love the mountains in California, so I want to come over. I
Okay,
want to
come
go and
on.
sit on your porch and look at the mountains. Yes.
And we'll drink our tea. This is my Harrods mug, so it's from England. Now, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners? Think of maybe one thing that will continue to help them ignite their spark today. One little nugget you can share. You've shared so much, and I really think that if anybody can just take one thing away, it is your fox, whatever that may be for you,
Yes.
to remember that you do not need to be stuck in the cupboard like Harry
No.
and stuffed in. You have the power to get out yourself, right?
Absolutely, you do. And if you will just call on that spark, which is inside you, which you may have stuffed in the cupboard, but open the door, let them out, and they may come out like a fox, they may come out like a unicorn or a beautiful walking tree or a lovely angel or something. Call that spark and sit with it. Just spend 5 whole minutes with your spark every day.
Mm, that that's magic. That is awesome. Ah, thank you so much, Ellen. And where can people find you? I'll put it in our show notes, but I want to make sure people can find you.
Right, you can find me at www.elensentier, all one word, .com.
ELENSENTIER.com. And I'll put
That's
it
the
down
one.
below.
That's the
Ellen, thank
one.
you for sharing your spiritness as an awareness. I love it. With all of us here today, you have helped me to understand some other ways to ignite my spark. And I know
Thank
that
you,
you have
Kim.
helped others ignite their spark today too. Yeah,
Thank you, Kim. It's been delightful talking to you. I don't want to stop, and I shall definitely enjoy talking to you again. Um,
definitely.
and let's all ignite our sparks.
Let's
Get
do it.
lit, everybody! Get wild!
Yes. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I will see you next time. So remember, shine on and ignite your spark.